Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Steve Kenyon Podcast. I'm Steve Kenyon, and we are proud to be sponsored by a great group of partners, including Rodeo Life Magazine, M2 Ranch Jerky, True Traditional Cowboy Jerky. Thank you to Cubit Hay Company. You'll find them online at cubithay.com. We've been feeding our horses Cubit Hay Cubes, and they love it. Thanks to Equinity. It's all about the horse team, equinity.com. The Justin Boot Company, Grandview at Las Vegas, DailyManagementResorts.com, to Wrangler, Resist All, the Gooding Pro Rodeo in Gooding, Idaho. They're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Gooding County Fair this year. To our friends at Next Gen Rodeo, and of course, to the Cowboy Channel. Now, today's featured interview, brought to you by Classic Ropes and Classic Equine, is with Tucker Allen. He's from California. He just won the steer wrestling at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. We'll get to Tucker Allen right after this time out on the Steve Kenyon Podcast. Cubit Hay Company, premium alfalfa hay cubes for premium animals. Cubit Hay Cubes offer consistent quality year-round. No waste. Choose from full-size mini cubes or pellets. It doesn't matter if you're feeding horses or cattle, goats or hogs. Cubit Hay Cubes will have them looking and feeling great. The Cubit Hay family has been growing top-quality hay in southern Idaho for 40 years and now produces the best milled alfalfa hay cubes on the market. Find a dealer near you at cubithay.com. That's CUBEITHAY.com.
Hey y'all, this is Cody Johnson. When I was starting out in music, most every radio station and venue I went to told me no. At that point, you got two options: tuck tail and quit, or buckle down and fight. Well, I'm a fighter, not a quitter. And that's why I wear Wrangler jeans and shirts. Their toughness and style are legendary. They're an iconic symbol of the West, and there's no quit in them either. Life's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And if I'm gonna enjoy the ride, I'm riding in Wrangler. Wrangler, long live Cowboys.
Today's featured interview is sponsored by Classic Ropes. Success is in your hands, and by Classic Equine. Play to win. We are Classic Equine. It's time to hear from Tucker Allen, the steer wrestling champion of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Well, we all just had a chance to watch the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo in Houston, Texas. The biggest paying rodeo Houston ever, $65,000 to the champions, $2.5 million overall that was paid out. All of the champions, including the man that's joining us, Tucker Allen, steer wrestler out of California, by the time you figured in the go-round money and all of that, went over $70,000. Tucker, I don't think I'm stretching it all to say, wow, by leaps and bounds, the biggest win of your career. Have you had a chance to, we're talking a couple of days after the rodeo was over, have you had a chance to digest everything you got accomplished at the Houston Livestock Show this year?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that I have more money won now than it did to take my first national finals. So that's kind of when it really set in that this is major money, and I'm glad that Houston upped their money and counted it, but it's unreal. It's crazy that one rodeo can pay that much. And I'm just very thankful that it was me, that got the chance to win all that money.
Yeah. Well, I forget what the cutoff was to get into the NFR last year. But if you look at that dollar amount, you've already got it made, right?
Yep. Which obviously I think it will take a little more this year, but
yeah,
I was 13th last year. I think I had about 92,000. I want to say like 91.9 made it. So I think now I got 94. So that's pretty crazy to think this early in the season that there's that much money.
Winning $70,000 in one shot, that's got to have an impact. And I don't want to get too nosy into your life outside of rodeo, but that's got to have an impact on everything you do, not just in rodeo, but in life, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You stop worrying less about filling up your truck next time you go to get gas. You're kind of takes a little bit of pressure off. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I've never been in the situation, so it's a good problem to have.
So let's talk about Championship Sunday. You make it into the Final Four round. You bulldog a steer in a time of 4.2 in that 4 round. You're riding that gray horse of Justin Schaefer's. And then here's the thing that I kept noticing the whole time this was going on. You turn right around then and hop on a hazing horse and haze for Holden Myers, riding that same horse of Justin Schaefer's, and Holden wins second. That had to be kind of a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Me and Holden and Justin were all pretty tight, and it was pretty cool. I mean, Holden got picked for me, and Jason Melvin actually had been hazing for us all week, but Jason and Justin had to go to Austin. So they asked if I could haze for Holden. I said no problem. And I didn't really have any of them guys haze for me, so I picked up Tyler Pearson in the 4-man. But it was pretty surreal that, a couple buddies just get to match them for that much money. And it just felt like a backyard bulldog. And like, I ran my steer, I jumped on the Hayes horse, we're riding to the header's box, and he's like, "Hey, let's have a match." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." It's pretty cool situation, honestly.
I'm not even sure how to word this, but there are a lot of people in life who wouldn't trust somebody to do the critical job of hazing for them, who was at that moment sitting on a $65,000 paycheck. I mean, it says a lot about you and your relationship with Holden. And like I say, I'm not even sure how to word that, but only in steer wrestling and professional rodeo, and maybe only in professional rodeo in general, does that happen.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying it's a me thing. There's every other bulldogger that can haze would do the exact same thing, and they would do the job just as good. It's just the camaraderie you all have. We're not trying to beat each other. We're trying to beat the steer. And I really don't know of any other event or any other sport for that matter where you're trying to almost help someone beat you in a way.
Yeah,
it's pretty unreal.
On Sunday, what'd that gray horse win? $105,000 or something like that?
I know Justin's wife Katie said total from Houston between everyone that rode him, he won $115,000.
Wow, that's amazing. Was Pearson riding Metallica when he hazed for you?
Yep, Pearson was on Metallica.
Someday I want to do a story about that horse, and just about that horse, because I think Tyler told me this, and it's been a year or two. I think like 4 different gold buckles have been won with Metallica on the hazing side. Hazing horses don't get probably near enough love, but that horse is cool.
He's by far the greatest one I've ever ridden. I only ever rode him at the NFR to haze for Justin, and got a couple practice runs on before that, and he is by far the best one I've ever ridden. He is super easy in the corner, and he's the most underrated horse. He doesn't get enough recognition. Obviously, Scooter was great, that Tyler and Irwin owned, but I don't know if Scooter if you don't have Metallica.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And I'll bet you if you asked Tyler Pearson that question, he'd say the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't replace him. I mean, really, you can't.
Yeah. Tucker, let me go outside of Houston for just a minute. I think you've got kind of a cool story. I don't know all of it. You're obvious. Rodeo announcers beat you to death with the fact, this isn't the biggest guy in the bunch. You probably get sick and tired. He's 5'11", 180. What's he doing? But I mean, I know Luke Branquino's had a big part in your story. Just kind of talk about how you got here, Tucker, because I know looking back over the last 3 or 4 years, every year you got a little bit better, a little closer to the NFR. Last year you kicked the door down. This year you haven't just kicked the door down, but you're in the process of dismantling the whole house after what you did with Houston. Tell me about give me the Quickie Tucker Allen story.
Well, I didn't really grow up rodeoing, actually. My mom showed rain cow horse. My dad ran a thoroughbred ranch, and I rode dirt bikes and BMX, and I didn't really care about horses. I was always around it, didn't care for it. When I was 15 or 14, first year the American was going, my brother bet me I couldn't bulldog. So that's where it all started. And then I kind of started roping again and riding. And then my stepdad, Teddy Robinson's a big-time cow horse guy, took me to the Branquinos. And since I was 14 or 15 years old, I've been hooked up with Luke, and he's the reason I'm here today. Without them, the whole Branquino family, I wouldn't be right here.
Luke is not the biggest guy in the bulldogging either. I mean, Luke Branquino's a good-sized man, but he's not the biggest guy out there.
Yeah.
I remember one of my analysts for when I used to do rodeo on the radio talked about him having the technique of John W. Jones and the power of an oat barrier. I forget who but he matched up 2 guys that, John W. wasn't a big guy either. What Luke teach you? Was Luke able to teach you a little bit more because he's not a ginormous human being either?
So Luke bulldogs like a smaller guy, and I think that's why he has the success that he did, is because when he has to, he can use his size. But he learned when he was real little, kind of like John W. style too. And he taught me the correct technique for a small guy, and it translated to me. Obviously, I had to tweak a little things because just our size difference and, stuff like that. But the biggest thing he's helped me out with was the fundamentals. That's one thing that, he beat into me was fundamentals. He would rather me, when we practice, slide one 20 feet, make him hit flat rather than try to turn one back and not get a good fall. So he was big on fundamentals, and obviously he's just a winner. And he never, when we rodeoed, he never like he sat me down and said, "Hey, you have to do this to win. You have to do this." He led by example, and he kind of let me do it on my own as far as watching. And he knew I was always paying attention. I was always trying to extract something from every bulldogger, but he just taught me the mindset more than anything. I think of how to win, because obviously we all can bulldog, but if you have it up here,
Yeah.
you can win about anywhere.
What's the biggest thing you have to overcome as a not the biggest guy in the pen?
I can't make as many mistakes. I feel like a big guy can kind of bobble a steer's head. His feet might not be perfect, but with the size of cattle these days, they can just pull on their head and go for the nose. And if they give it all they got, they might hit flat. Or if I don't get a good head catch or my feet aren't good, steers are just going to pack me off 20 feet.
Yeah.
So I have to make a lot less mistakes. And I don't think it's to my detriment. I've never thought that I was at a disadvantage, just because I've always been this size, and I'm very competitive. So I've never thought that I didn't have a chance. But I'd say I can't make as many mistakes. I have to be a lot more correct.
I sincerely think sometimes we make too big a deal out of size in rodeo. I remember once upon a time interviewing bareback rider Bobby Mode, who's in the Hall of Fame now and is a 4-time world champion. And Bobby's like a 6'1", 6'2" bareback rider. And I asked him about that, and he said, "I don't know what it's like to be a short bareback rider. I've never been one. You don't know what it's like to be a great big. You don't know what it's like to be a Jake Reinhardt size steer wrestler. You've never been Jake Reinhardt size. Whatever you're doing, it's working."
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I've been this size forever. It's what I'm used to, and I honestly wouldn't have any other way. I don't care if I was taller or bigger. I mean, it's working so far, so might as well keep it.
How many great horses are going up and down the road right now? You rode that gray horse of Schaefer's. Justin's got another horse, and I should remember his name, and I don't. But then you Banker, that's right. And then you got Swamper, and then you got Crush, and then you got Mabel, who I will always be the president of the Mabel fan club. And there are other horses out there that I'm forgetting. We did something with Will Loomis on TV late last week, and he was talking about all the good horses he's had a chance to ride. There are a lot of real good horses out there right now, aren't there?
A lot, and there's a lot of underrated ones no one knows about. Eli Lord, his whole team of horses is outstanding. Sterling Lambert has had a horse named Buzz for years, and I'm surprised no one's ever ridden him at the NFR. He's lights out. There's guys up in the Northwest that have great horses. There's a lot of good horses. I feel like certain ones get more limelight than others, but there's a lot of potential for horses to shine if they get put in the right circumstances. There's no shortage of horses right now.
I didn't even mention the Canadians. I didn't even mention Tyson and Eddie. And I mean, it's just you. I hate to start naming them because I'll slight somebody, but top to bottom, I don't know if you feel comfortable commenting on the historical aspect of it, but I really think, Tucker, there are as many good bulldogging horses out there right now that guys can win a ton of money on as we've ever had.
I'd say so. I'd say it's almost kind of like when Lee Grays had Jesse, and Kurt had Willie, and then Luke would ride Gunner at the finals. Those were three of some of the best horses ever, and I feel like we're kind of pushing back into that. Where Justin's got Banker, there's Crush, there's Swamper. There's so many good horses going. Benz of Clayton Hass's, he's still going.
Yeah, forgot him.
And then Mabel, I mean, like you said, speaks for herself. I mean, she's going to be one of the greatest ever. There's 5 or 6, and I'm going to say there's a lot more coming up that have that potential.
With being in Justin's crew, what's different between that gray horse and Banker? And by the way, the gray horse is creatively named the Gray, right? I mean, isn't that what you guys call him?
He's great.
Yeah. But tell me about the comparison between Gray and Banker.
So Gray is a lot easier at the long starts.
Which is probably why you rode him in Houston.
Yep. You just have to sit there dead enough to see your start and go. Banker, you could actually do the same thing, but when he leaves the corner, he leaves so sharp that it almost feels like you're going a million miles an hour and you're like, oh God, I got to get off. Where Gray's more controlled. But they're both so easy. I mean, if I were to pick, I've honestly won more on Gray just from, the years going with Justin before Banker come around. But Gray is still to this day is my favorite horse to bulldog on. His go fits me. And obviously Banker is the same way. I mean, his go is outstanding and he's a freak. But I'd say Banker's more of a freak than Gray is. Gray just has the most. He tries as hard as he possibly can every single time.
When we interviewed Will on TV the other day, Loomis, he kept talking about how this horse makes it easy. It's just real simple. All you have to do is worry about is getting your feet on the ground in the right spot. The horse does the rest for you.
Yep. Yeah, and that's one thing people don't realize in the Bulldog. And if you have a horse that you can't get in the corner, or if he's leaning on your legs and not standing up straight and you're second guessing the start, it makes you think about your horse and not the steer that's in the chute. So by the time you're riding the cow, you're almost like, oh, I have to Bulldog now, because you're trying to worry about what was happening back there. And that's when he says they're easy. That's what he means, is when you can back in the corner and you can kind of be selfish and kind of not have them great, but you're, hey, good enough. I can nod, see my start, pull if I have to. They're forgiving. There's a lot of horses that aren't forgiving, where if you make a mistake riding, they expose it and then you wreck out or something. But an easy horse is one that you could literally put anyone on. They could pull, do whatever, but you're probably going to catch up in a good spot.
Tucker, I've had calf ropers tell me that there are 40 or 50 guys that could be in the top 15 in any one different year. The difference is not the talent of the roper. The difference is the talent of the horse that they are riding. Does that same thing apply to the steer wrestling to some extent?
100%. I think a lot of it, too, is hazing. I feel like, I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of guys that Bulldog real good, and will have guys that don't necessarily, not guys, horses into situations that don't help them, and their goes are a little funny and could be better, where, people said that about me when I was starting, before I got in with Luke at the rodeos. I'd just have my buddy jump on and haze, and my goes would be okay, but not great. And if you had a better horse and you have a better hazer, the stars would align. I feel like there's 50 guys that have potential to be in the top 15, but, just not the right circumstances.
Yeah. So let me ask you about hazing. And here's, maybe I make too big a deal out of it, but it strikes me that a lot of really good Bulldoggers are also really good hazers. Does one help you do the other job better?
I think so. I think if you haze a lot, when you get to the long scores and stuff, you got a cowboy on the Bulldogging side. I've always explained it. If you're at a long start, like a Salinas, a Pound, Pinoca, when you're Bulldogging, you're kind of hazing the steer too. It's all about meeting in the middle for a good go. So if you treat it like, okay, I'm going to haze the steer, I'm just on the dogging side, then your go is going to be good. Where a lot of guys get, okay, I'm going to Bulldog, and they ride at their steer too quick, and they get a bad angle, steer steps left. The angles are really underrated. No one talks about them. But I do think the more you haze, the easier Bulldogging is too, and vice versa. I mean, when you Bulldog, you know what a go should feel like on the haze side to help your man.
Yeah. That makes sense. Talking to steer wrestler Tucker Allen, just won RodeoHouston. Tucker, I want to ask you about some things. Boyd Polhamus, probably more than any other announcer, talks about the fact that you also have done some work in the movies. You've been a stuntman. I think I asked you about this before we started, and it was right when we were getting hooked up, but I think I texted you, didn't I, or called you during the NFR and said, hey, Is this true? And you said, yeah, I die really good. What have you been in? How did you get involved in all of that?
So actually in Southern California, where I'm from, there's a lot of cowboys and families that, supply horses to the movie sets, and a lot of old stuntmen are around the house. And I took it for granted. I mean, all these guys would come to the rope at the house, and the guy who got me started, his name's Steve Davison, and he was Robert Duvall's double in Lonesome Dove. And he's the stunt coordinator on Transformers, NCIS, all sort of stuff. And he got me started. Probably some more recognizable stuff I've been in was, 1883, American Primeval, Bass Reeves, stuff like that. Horizon, Costner's new movie.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot. I've actually done more non-Western stuff just because of Steve. He's a car guy, and he had a show called Station 19. It's a Grey's Anatomy spinoff. And I actually doubled one of the guys in that show. I was his main double for about 2-3 years till the show just got canceled. But it went on for a while, and pretty thankful. I'm by no means professional like my buddies are. That's what they do for a living. I get hired when they can't make it.
Interesting. Are you a pretty good driver then?
I've only ever had to do one driving thing. It was for a commercial, but I'd like to think I am, but I'm probably not. But if you tell me to do a donut, I'll spin a donut.
Okay, gotcha. I understand. Okay, are you ready for Steve's dumb question of the interview? Here it
Go ahead.
comes. I really enjoyed the movie that came out last year that was the spin-off of the old TV series called The Fall Guy, which is all about
Yep.
movie stuntmen. And I enjoyed it because especially the end credits in the movie, it's got Ryan Gosling in it, and I forget the rest of the cast, but
Yeah.
the end credits in the movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson, are all videos of the actual stunt work that was done on that film.
Mhm.
Did was that a pretty good tribute to stuntmen?
Very good. And those are the legit stuntmen. Those aren't just your cowboys like me that get hired on a Western. Those are stuntmen who can fall from a building, flip a truck, jump, bungee jump, almost hit the ground. Those guys are the real deal. And it does pay homage really good to them. That was a movie that should have been out for a long time. And I know when it came out, the whole stunt community was very thankful that it did. Because no one thinks about it. I mean, my girlfriend always says, now since she's with me, when we watch a movie she goes, oh, that was a good stunt, but she never realized it before then. It's just a
Yeah.
movie. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I said, I'm by no means what them guys are, but just to be a little part of that community is really cool.
I can't imagine there aren't a lot of broken bones in that and concussions and everything else in that business, because there are some ginormous falls and some pretty scary car wrecks that guys get involved with on purpose, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and honestly, everyone says that the most dangerous stuff is horse stuff, especially if someone's riding a horse that isn't horse savvy. Um, because you can't. No matter what, horse has a mind of its own. It's not a car.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys get in wrecks because of that. But even I've done it. Like I had to do on Bass Reeves, I had to get shot in the head chasing a wagon, and they just tell you to hit wherever. And we filmed it over in Glen Rose, and the ground was rock hard and got cactus and stuff. And no matter where you hit, but when you hit, you better hit head first.
Huh.
So it's one of them deals. You gotta do it.
I'll be darned. Tucker Allen's joining us. Did you say you were in 1923 or just 1883?
I was in 1883, American Primeval, Bass Reeves, and like Horizon.
I've been watching 1923, and it's kind of fun for folks involved in the rodeo business. There's a young man, Native American saddle bronc rider out of Montana named Dougie Hall. And
Yep.
Dougie's been in 2 episodes now of 1923. I just watched the latest one last night, and he shows up again there. And it's really fun. It's fun to see, and I think Taylor Sheridan, as much as anybody, has given folks in our rodeo industry and beyond that the chance to get a little exposure and get a little bit of extra work out of these. Tilden Hooper's been a couple of times featured in that in
Oh yeah.
Yellowstone, right?
Yep. Yeah. Taylor Sheridan's very smart in that, where he knows what will translate to our world. If he puts people in that are in our world, we're going to be like, okay, we're tuning in and watch this. I think it's really cool. And guys like Dougie, they deserve all the credit and all the recognition they can get. They put in their time. Like you said, he used to ride broncs, and now he's on the big screen. Can't write it up any cooler than that.
Yeah, exactly. If you wouldn't have won Houston, would your the question people like me always like to ask is, how's Houston going to affect how you handle the rest of the year? Would the rest of your year be any different if you hadn't won Houston as it's going to be now?
My schedule-wise, no. No matter what, I was going to plan on going to 80 rodeos. That's all we can count.
Right.
I will say I do feel like it's going to take some pressure off, because obviously, you want to make the national finals. But my goal this year was to make it by Cheyenne, was to have the finals made or somewhere around there.
You want a hint? And you got it made. Or dark.
Yeah, so I guess it's almost kind of like go have fun now.
Yeah.
So I've never been in that situation, but I'm all for it. But I am up for the challenge of looking farther too. It went good. I'm glad I'm in the position I'm in, but my goals are a little more aligned to looking at that gold buckle towards the end. And hopefully, I'm willing to work as hard as I can to get there.
Yeah, at this point, shoot, you could have, if things go well, you could have $150,000 won by Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit from there. I think a lot of records are going to be set this year. I think, we've been setting records every year for individual season earnings and NFR earnings and all that, because the money has gone up so much. The thing that I guess, and again, I'm not going to ask you to obviously name names or even refer to your own situation, but there are a lot of guys that we see at rodeos who may or may not be worrying about money when they get onto and off of their horse or into and out of the roping box. And having that pressure taken off of you I can't imagine it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And I mean, I've always kind of paid my own way. No one's ever paid a single entry fee of mine since I started. And I will 100% say it's way funner to bulldog when you know you have enough money to either go home or go to the next one.
Yeah.
It is not a good feeling. And I've been there, and I guarantee a lot of the guys have too. It's not a fun place to be, but I think it does build character. But whenever you do get in the situation where you can pay your fees and, you know, I'm not going to say by no means have money, but you're good enough to keep going. It's kind of where, okay, let's go have fun. Let's just go compete.
Yeah. And it's got to make it easier in every single way. Tucker, before I let you go, what's next for you?
Austin tonight, I ran my first one last night, was a 5.3. I think if I can be, you know, somewhere short 4 or long 3, I think I might have a chance of the short round.
Yeah.
And go to Cave Creek on Friday, Cave Creek, Arizona. Hopefully fly back short round to Austin, and then San Angelo the 4th and the 6th.
Are you in the American?
No American for me.
Gosh,
I tried. I didn't do good, but
it'd be nice to follow that 65,000 up with $1 million, but you know what the heck.
Yeah.
So there you go. Tucker Allen, how many rodeos have you been to? You Bulldoggers have 80. You haven't actually been to these rodeos this time of year are different because they all have so many performances. So I mean, you can have a 3-week long one rodeo. How many rodeos have you been to? How many have you still got left to use?
I think I've been to 8 rodeos.
Wow.
So I got a handful left.
Yeah, you got more than a handful. So, well, Tucker, I'm really happy for you. That was fun to watch. You stamp your name on the bulldogging business at the rodeo in Houston, and go get them in San Angelo. I'm hoping for good things tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Tucker. Steer wrestler Tucker Allen joining us. Our featured interviews brought to you by Classic Rope and by Classic Equine. The Steve Kenyon podcast is sponsored by Cubitt Hay Company, by Rodeo Life Magazine, M2 Ranch Jerky. Thanks to Team Equinity Products, teamequinity.com, to the Justin Boot Company and the Grandview of Las Vegas, to Wrangler and Resistol, to the Gooding Pro Rodeo, Next Gen Rodeo, and of course the Cowboy Channel. Please like and subscribe to our social media sites. Coming up in a couple of days from now, you'll hear from Dennis Fass. The High Desert Stampede Rodeo in Redmond, Oregon is about to get underway. They're in a brand new program. Not brand new, we'll tell you the whole story, along with a couple of their partners, Big Rodeos in Central Oregon and Sisters and Prineville. We'll get that whole story coming up. Thanks for joining us. This is Steve Kenyon Podcast.